Hey guys, how the hell are you? Time for an all-new unbiased gear review. This time on the Halcyon Green Overdrive from Origin Effects. So Origin Effects is a company that I've worked with in the past on the Revival Drive video, and they reached out and asked if I would be interested in doing anything else, and I saw this thing and I was like, well yeah, let's try that. I'm always down to try a Tube Screamer style overdrive, and they were very quick to tell me like, okay, but wait till you check it out because this thing is interesting. It's not like other Tube Screamers. And I asked them to explain it to me, and now I'm going to hopefully regurgitate this information back to you. So basically what this is think about this as being the best Tube Screamer that you've ever had, and something that solves a problem that most Tube Screamers typically have. So first let's go over some features of this unit. We have top-mounted input and output as well as 9-volt DC adapter. We have a very heavy-duty metal housing, brushed aluminum looks to be. This thing, it feels like a tool. It feels like a weapon. We got 4 knobs on here: level, drive, tone, and this dry signal knob that's on here, which when I read into it a little bit, I was like, how useful is that going to be really? It's just a Tube Screamer, right? Turns out it's pretty damn useful. We'll get into that. We also have a 2-way voice switch, which goes between typical 808 and a modded 808, so it has a slightly different mid-range character. Speaking of the mid-range, right up above that is the adapt switch. And that's the thing that Origin Effects really wanted to add into this, because typically with a Tube Screamer, you roll back the volume knob, and even though it cleans up, you tend to lose a lot of the tonal characteristics that the Tube Screamer is providing. You tend to lose that sort of pushed mid-range, especially in the low mids a little bit as you roll back that volume. And what this seeks to do is it's got a few different settings for it, but basically it allows for much of that character of the tone that we love from the Tube Screamer to remain intact even as you're rolling back the volume. How useful is that? To me, a metal guy, not quite as much, but I can absolutely see the application, and I tried to sort of demonstrate it in the demo song, which we will have coming up here in a minute. It's a problem that a lot more like rock and blues guys probably have to deal with, and they essentially figured out a way to overcome that. But enough of me talking about it, let's go into the tone demo. First of all, I'm going to show you guys what I did with this thing in front of a clean amp, and then also in front of a higher gain amp, using this predominantly as a boost. And you can see that even there, this thing does what a Tube Screamer typically does in front of an already high gain amp, but with a little bit extra something there. So anyways, let's go into that. And now let's hear what this thing can do in the context of a full mix. So overall, my final thought, I've kind of reached a similar conclusion as to when I did a video on the Revival Drive some time ago. This is meant to be sort of a tube screamer that encompasses everything that you want a tube screamer to do. It's extremely, extremely useful. I love the dry signal. I love being able to sort of roll that in, especially when I'm using this on a higher gain setting in front of a cleaner amp. Having that dry signal control in there and being able to take out more of the dry signal and just let this sort of crystalline overdrive tone come forth and create something a little bit more high gain on its own was very, very useful, especially in the demo song there. I think that the adapt switch is also pretty interesting. There again, me as a metal guy, is it necessarily the most useful thing for me? No, but if you're one of those players that plays in several different genres and needs something that's going to be a serious jack of all frickin' trades, I think this is probably the best tube screamer you are ever going to find. I also love the fact that there is 2 separate mid-range voicings on there. What I would like to offer, if I could give any sort of criticism of this unit whatsoever, some of my favorite tube screamer like pedals, such as, you know, the Maxon OD808X, the Fortin Hex Drive, to me there's an extra bump a little bit in the low mids, and there's also just a little teeny tiny bit more drive on tap. And if anything, I wish that voice switch had a third voicing in there, something that is like Mod X or something like that, just to signify that it's a little bit more of an extreme tube screamer overdrive tone. Now that being said though, this thing is honestly probably one of the best TS style overdrives I've ever found, and it's actually vying right now for the spot of the TS style overdrive on my pedal board. I've got a lot of different overdrives and distortions on my pedal board of gain that I have down here that you guys can't see. I'm really considering just throwing this on there to sort of satisfy that needs, because god damn does it hit so many boxes. This is an incredible TS style drive pedal, and don't take my word for it. Go out there and actually try to find one that you can plug in and play. It blows minds. I actually took this thing to a trade show and it blew minds there too. It's only going to do the same for you. But hey Arnold, what are you drinking today? I am so glad that you asked. Today I am having what I think is a brand new addition to their monthly seasonal lineup, is Sit Sprinkler by Austin Beer Works. This has now overtaken Super Awesome as my favorite seasonal from Austin Beer Works. It is a very malty Euro lager, and I love a malty Euro lager. I love a Helles lager. Weihenstephaner Helles is honestly one of my favorite beers that I've ever had, and this is putting up some maltiness like that one does. Right from the word go, it's bright, it's got a little bit of citrus note, but it's also got something a little yeasty, a little bready. Cheers. Oh my god. Thick, rich mouthfeel to it. There again, a little bready, almost like there's a little bit of white bread kind of thing happening. You do get a little bit of that citrusy note, a little bit of orange peel in there, but this thing is just so rich and so malty. That is, oh man, that's exactly what I was hoping this would be like when I saw the words Euro Lager on the can. It did not disappoint in the slightest. Let's go in again. Like, it's refreshing, but at the same time, it's fulfilling. Like, this is not something that you're going to want to drink a ton of in rapid succession. It's something you're going to want to drink one of and maybe kind of sit on it for a minute. It is only a 5.2%er, but that being said, it just feels a little heavier than that alcohol content would necessarily make you believe. That's mainly because of the flavor profile and all that maltiness, that rich maltiness. It's a little bit heavy of a lager, and damn, I love it for that. Austin Beer Works, Sit Sprinkler. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to this channel. Tons more metal and guitar oriented content to come. And as always, remember, take what you do seriously. Do not take yourselves too seriously.